Have you ever seen anything, felt anything in a grave?
Sheikh, we've witnessed beautiful smells come out of graves. People have smelt it. A lot of times I don't say anything. People notice, because there are people that think like me or think even more than me.
Yeah.
We've had smells, and I'll ask the boys later, boys, did you like throw extra altar in there or something? Like, no, man, we used what we do. You'll smell the beautiful sweet smell. I remember two sisters, 92, 93 years old, died a day apart. Buried 2 years ago. I buried both of them because the family was an extended family and they weren't really very Islamically driven and didn't know they were more, culturally. So they don't jump in graves. They don't do none of that. So I had the honor of burying both sisters next to each other. And subhanAllah, the family delayed this funeral by 2 days because, there was that culture. I want to get everyone together and all this.
Yeah.
But one old man came there and he wasn't related to the family, but he knew the two ladies. He said they used to hold on to their deen so much, but they couldn't control what the family was doing. When we had the coffins and Allah, I remember, she basically wanted to jump out of the coffin and get into the grave. She came straight on her side, facing Qibla on her right side.
Allah. The Prophet said, "Qaddimuni, qaddimuni," that the righteous soul is saying, take me, hurry up.
Yeah. So we can't control things sometimes, and I have the onus is on me is to tell them the right way, then it's up to the family.
Yeah.
But these two sisters, I'll never forget the smells that came out of those graves. And they are the first two sisters buried in that new section that was still being used now. And I always, when I'm there, I always go back there and I have a look at the two graves again. I think, is the smell still there? The smell's still there.
What about the opposition?
Look, when I was a grave digger, 15 years I was a grave digger, and I used to dig, wait for the body to come, so it'd be an hour and a half away. So I'd go back to my truck, I'd sit there, I'd have my lunch, and I'd go back to the grave. And I remember once I borrow, and the graves are 40 centimeters apart, 30 centimeters. I saw this big hole come out of the grave, and it was this big blue-tongued lizard. You know what blue tongue like? They're like a goanna, big lizard, but it looked like a snake's head, and it just popped out, and I was like freaking out, and it came straight out and it sat in the grave. It came from the grave next door, and I thought to myself, how am I going to get rid of this? So I got the machine and I tried to get it, scare it and it couldn't climb up 2 meters, and maybe it didn't know how to go back into the hole it came from. So I basically cut it in half and just pulled it out, and I looked at it and I said, man, where's this thing seen now? What has it seen? What has it heard? Because they got senses.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things I've seen. Recently we saw a snake coming through the graves, but it wasn't a Muslim section. It was next to us. It was it was a Russian Orthodox section, actually. The snake was actually we took a photo of it. It came through the graves, trying to go through to another grave. And, but I've never seen animals at the grave. I've never seen dogs, cats.
Well, it makes sense. So the Prophet ﷺ mentioned they hear the punishment of the graves.
And that's why you never see them.
It's terrifying to you. Never see them sitting around there. It's terrifying to them. SubhanAllah, I mean, that's something actually I noticed too. Sometimes, because my mother, she loved cats. So a lot of cats at the house. And they were, grew up in a place where dogs. Yeah, we used to nickname her that actually. She'd just go outside and start playing with cats, like stray cats, and then they'd become like members of the household within a week or two. So. But I noticed when I'd go to the graveyard, and we had a lot of dogs around where we lived, but none of them were anywhere near the graves.
None of them.
They would stay away. And that's when the Prophet ﷺ talks about these things hear the punishment of the grave. Allah has spared you. They hear the punishment of the grave. Can you imagine, if they hear that,
we wouldn't bury our dead.
We wouldn't bury our dead. Yeah.
That's what he said, subhanAllah.
Yeah.
So, and another thing I tell people, a lot of people, when I'm giving a bit of a quick reminder at the cemetery is, and how come with the Catholic, subhanAllah, we're all competing on this earth. But when it comes to the cemetery, you never see an ATM machine. You never see any sort of transactions with currency there. There's nothing to buy there. And that's one thing you notice, that it's such a bare, plain place, but it gives so much sakina to some believers. People go there and tell me, it is the only place I feel at ease, Ahmed. I feel at peace. When I get back out of those gates, it's just ugly.
You see the world for what it is.
You see the world for what it is.
Once you visit the grave and you make that a part of your habit, you see the world for what it is. Without a doubt. It's the most clarifying place in the world. That's the graveyard.
Wallah, Sheikh, whenever people tell me, how do I come closer to Allah? I say, go visit the cemetery.
Yeah.
Go visit the ones who walked amongst you before you. Had the same goals, maybe greater goals. More motivated, more money, more whatever. Go see them. And remember, this is where we're going. Every time we take a deceased Sheikh, people say, oh, what time are we taking him to the cemetery? I said, brother, we're not taking him. They look at you like, what are you talking about? I said, he's taking us. He's taking us to remind us of where we're going. He's going to get buried. Whether you like it or not, he's going to go to the cemetery. But he's taking all of us, the whole entourage that follows. He's taken us all to remind us, hey, take heed. You're next. I was amongst you once. I've had people rock up at janazas and they become the janaza 2 days later.
واقفا على قبري لا تتعجل من أمري فكنت مثلك يوما وغدا تكون مثلي.
Subhanallah.
Oh, you standing on my grave, do not be amazed by my state.
Yeah.
I was like you yesterday and you will be like me tomorrow.
SubhanAllah. There's freaky stories, Sheikh, of people who have actually witnessed their own grave. Where they've been at janazas, and we dig 3-4 graves at a time now because it's time. And they've actually come up and said to me, who's that grave for? I said, the spare grave. And 2 days later, I buried him in it.
Yeah.
And I still remember the name to now. And I remember how he looked like. And I remember what jacket he had on. And these are things that, subhanAllah, never leave you.
You know, there was a munshid, a nasheed artist, Mashari al-Arad, he did a song called Farshi Turab.
Yes, yeah, I did hear it. Yeah, Farshi Turab.
He passed away from a car accident.
Not long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, that was one of the main, I think that was a nasheed that was like a very powerful nasheed, moving people towards death. And like, you're right, and he was a young man, rahmatullah.
SubhanAllah.
My bed is dirt, and there he was. And subhanAllah, a few years later, he passed away in a car accident.
He passed away and he became on a mattress of dirt.
Yeah.
Allahu Akbar, Shaykh, wallah. We could talk about death all day, every day. And it's not a subject that you could get sick of.
Yeah.
Because it'll affect every single one of us. It'll touch every single family. And as soon as it does, and I notice this every day, is as soon as somebody's family member dies, he's straight away telling me, Ahmed, I need to come and help you.
Yeah.
I need to come closer back to Allah.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good. It's good that this happens because it's waking people up.
If you want to lose your appetite for life, you wash a dead body. There's no doubt. I mean, that's just like one should do enough. And especially someone that you knew, that you saw alive. And that's something, subhanAllah, that before it was, may Allah reward you all, the brothers and sisters who take on the job of washing the bodies. It used to be the community. Like in my community, we had to find volunteers every time.
Yeah.
When I was the imam, 20 years ago in my community, we had to find people,
SubhanAllah.
volunteers to wash the bodies because we didn't have a Muslim funeral home. We didn't have a place to wash it. We would use
all the same,
different places, and like, I got to get 4 people with me. So we'd put out messages before WhatsApp, before anything, right? You got to send out messages. Can anyone come out and help us? Especially when someone didn't have family to wash this body. And you could see someone's complete appetite for dunya is gone once they wash a body.